Welcome to HT Insights. I am Scott Benjamin. It's a pleasure to sit down and speak with Ralph Manning. Welcome, Ralph.
Thank you, Scott. Great to be here. Thanks for making the time.
No, thank you for taking the time. And usually I like to turn it over to the guests themselves to introduce themselves, but I'm going to share a little bit. Ralph's got a lot to share with us today. So I am going to give you a little bit quick background and overview of just exactly who Ralph is. Ralph and I first met almost 30 years ago, which is hard to believe, in Poland when he came to buy two exceptional horses, one from 𝐾𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 and one from Janów Podlaski, a beautiful mare by the name of 𝐬𝐿𝐺 and a really impressive young stallion by the name of 𝐸rdynek, both of whom he took home and competed very successfully in the show ring. They were both national top tens, 𝐬𝐺 and halter and 𝐸rdynek under saddle. Many of you know Ralph most famously as the owner and operator of Whistlejacket Farm, very successful with Whistlejacket Farm. He's present at a lot of our activities and shows all across the country. But professionally, he's the co-founder and CEO of Coltala Holdings, which specializes in aerospace, healthcare, and commercial real estate services with revenues just under $500 million annually, and he's responsible for nearly 4,000 employees. So this just gives you a little bit of an overview of exactly who Ralph is as a person, as a horse person, and as a professional. Last time we spoke with Ralph at the Scottsdale show about the Whistlejacket program, and we sat down with him and Lisa together right before the restructuring resolution passed later that year. And now here we are, post restructuring resolution with a new restructured board and an optimistic outlook for our industry and the HA board in general. Ralph is now the treasurer of the HA board. And Ralph, as in that role, effectively, you're the CFO of HA now. Can you please just give us your professional assessment of the current financial situation of the HA so everyone can clearly understand where we are and where we need to go?
Yes, absolutely. The board has been at this now all of 5 months. So one of the first things that we did, in particular that I was focused on, was going in and trying to level set, like, where are we really, and how can we communicate that to our community in a way that we can all understand? And how can we create transparency into our organization? Because it's one of the things that this board made a pledge to our community that we would increase transparency. And I believe that we have done that. But what you see is 5 years, the last 5 years of declining revenues, the last 5 years of increasing expenses, the last several years we have posted pretty substantial operating losses. And it's a dire situation. That the good news is we have time to turn the ship. We are publishing a monthly flash report every month, so that's distributed through Lisa Blackstone. But we do a kind of a one-page update and then a financial flash every month. We've done that for the last 2 months, and we're going to do it monthly going forward. You can get that through your email, or you can get it through the AHA website. And so our number one objective is to stop the burn. And when we stop the burn, what that does is it gives us the runway to have the time to do these more strategic things to begin to grow again. But you have to do that first. You have to do things in the right order. So that's number one. And I would say we have a cash reserve. We have no debt. It is a tremendous benefit that we have cash reserves and unrestricted cash reserves and no debt, so that we have resources to actually affect a turnaround. And so that's a high level summary. We released a full financial reporting package last Friday evening on the via email, and also on the AHA Facebook site. So if you haven't seen that, go out and get it. But it's all there.
Well, and that's good to know, Ralph. That certainly has been something that's been top of mind for members, to know what the current financial situation is and where it's headed. So with
Yeah.
that in mind, can you clarify what the what the vision of the board is post convention and what your role is as both a board member and as a treasurer to see that that vision is completed and followed through?
100%. I mean, let me answer it this way. So vision and strategy is infinitely easier than execution.
Yeah.
And so, I'm a data-driven business person, and the studies that have been done on this at the highest echelons, right, have proven over years and years of study, if you're lucky, 1 in 10 organizations that has a vision or a strategy is actually executing it. Less than 10%. Those are very, very poor odds. And then the next question that I have studied is, well, why is that? Well, it's because execution is really difficult, really hard to do well and do consistently well over a long period of time. So this board came together and we decided that, okay, there's certain things that we have to be able to, walk and chew gum. We got to do basic things well before we can start saying, okay, here's our vision and we're going to go execute against it. We have to build certain capabilities into this organization to function. It's a dysfunctional organization in its current state. And so and I understand everybody wants to know what's the vision, what's the vision, what's the vision, what's the vision. Well, a vision like this for AHA is not something that I'm going to come up with, or the board's going to come up with, or Lisa's going to come up, or Taryl's going to come up with. We're going to discover the vision to all of this work that we're doing. And I think we'll do it probably in the next year. And then we'll be able to put language around it and articulate it. But the bottom line is how are we going to grow? And how are we going to grow and expand our base? How are we going to increase participation? Like, what is the vision for this breed? And we're going to get there. But first things first. So when this board got together, we've been meeting. We meet every week. We have every week since January. We developed what are the things that we just need to do first. They don't require planning. They don't require strategy. They don't require meetings. What are the things that just need to get done? And we put that list together, and we've been executing on that list. One of those things was we need a financial reporting package that creates transparency into our organization. And here's why. It's very important to understand this fact is that, like, you have to be able to see clearly in your rear view mirror before you can see forward. Your rear view mirror is your financial condition. Where have you been? Last week, last month, last quarter, last year, last 5 years.
Mhm.
Where are you today? Okay, once you have a stake in the ground and you understand that, you can begin to forecast. I tell my management team, we don't drive our cars with our head in our laps or looking in our rearview mirror. If you drive your car and look in your rearview mirror, you will run into something. It's the same way with the business. But you have to first be able to see in the rearview mirror before you can forecast forward. So part of being able to create a vision is being able to forecast forward and see forward. You can't see forward until you can see clearly backwards. So number one, financial reporting package, and we have accomplished that in 5 months. It's out. It's in our members' hands. They have it. So that was one of the most important things. There are other things, and we published it last week. I'll just go down the list, but I'll tell you right now, the number one most important decision that this board will make this year is selecting a leader to lead our organization as CEO, and we have done that in a record 5 months. And we are so fortunate that we have Taryl O'Shea. Her first day was May the 12th. Amazing. She is uniquely qualified to be in this position, has experience in the private sector, has extensive experience inside of our community, running Scottsdale, running that show and the Arizona Arabian Horse Association, and her leadership there as executive director. She's been an exhibitor. She knows this industry and she knows business. She's educated formally in business. We are fortunate to have her, and we did not expect that to happen so quickly. We are ahead of schedule. So the two top items were, we need a new leader. We need a leader to lead this organization in the 21st century, and we need to be able to see in our rearview mirror. Okay, check. Those are done, and they're done in 5 months. So there's been a lot of discussion around our community. What is this board doing? They haven't done anything. Well, that's what we've done. for those of you and we're doing our very best to communicate that, and we'll do a better job about it. There are other things, the monthly president's letter going out every month. That's been done for the 2 months. You'll have one for the month of May. That'll be coming soon. That's done. We want to look at our investment portfolio. We have a substantial investment portfolio in AHA, and that includes the sweepstakes funds. Arguably, they have been undermanaged historically, so we have really spent a lot of time getting that so we can optimize those returns. So that's a good resolve. We have critical IT issues that must be resolved. That's in process. We have looked at the organizational chart, and that's in process. And we wanted to partner with the U.S. Show Commission on an exceptional 2026 U.S. Nationals, because it is our 60th year anniversary and the 250th anniversary of our nation, and we have done that. So that's just a thumbnail. The board's been very, very busy. And you asked the question, what is the vision? It's coming together, and we'll be able to articulate it soon. I will say this last point. It's very important for everybody to understand that the board does not run AHA. We are here to resource AHA. We are here to equip it. We are here to advise our management team, but we cannot create a vision outside of having a leader that's going to execute it. They need to be part of that vision casting process. And it wasn't until May 12th that we had a leader in the seat. And Taryl is in the seat, in the office every day now in Denver, and she has taken the reins. And so we can begin creating that vision. So I'll stop on that, but that's a lot, but that's what we've been up to.
No, and that's good to know, Ralph. I mean, I can attest personally that Taryl's not only in the office every single day, she's also in the office on the weekend, because I keep getting things from her on the weekend to make sure that everything is progressive.
Me too.
Taryl is absolutely always on the ball. So I've got a question that I think is on everyone's mind, and this is not unique to AHA. This is a situation that affects not only Arabian horse populations all around the world, but equine populations around the world for the most part. Like, what is the strategy now to slow and eventually halt this decline in registrations, in show participation, in memberships within AHA? Because that is priority number one in many cases, besides fixing the financials and making sure that there's operating funds. And once it's been halted, which is a success in and of itself, rather than slowing the decline, what's the plan at this point in the evolution to start to increase all of those things, not just membership, but registrations and breeding and participation in all events, not just horse shows? AHA has a long history, because of its IHA origins, half of its origins in promoting horse show participation. But in many ways, the future of this breed goes well beyond just horse show participation, for sure.
Yes, it's a great question. So let me answer it this way. So I believe personally that the data supports the fact that there is enormous, not just some, but enormous interest in horses in general and horse sports in particular. And why do I say that? So I hope everybody hears me when I say this. AQHA, the American Quarter Horse Association, has 70,000. I'll say it again. 70,000 youth members alone. Okay? There is substantial interest in horses and horse sports and equestrian activity. Undeniable. The data supports it unquestionably. We have been losing market share for decades. We have been losing market share to other breeds. Now, anybody who knows horses in general and knows Arabian horses in particular knows that we have a very special product. We have a great horse. We argue the greatest horse. We know why that is. I don't have to explain that. So you asked the question, what is the plan? What is the strategy to grow our breed? You first have to understand, like, why have we lost market share? So we need to discover that. we need to understand why before we just start trying to swat flies and treat symptoms. We need to understand the root cause of that problem. I have an idea about what I think the root cause is. We need for, and I'll be happy to talk about it, but I don't want to say that this is decided. I'm not speaking for the board. We haven't done all of this work yet. But if you start at the top of you go through kind of one of the problem solving methodologies is the 5 whys that many people are probably familiar with. But if you ask the fact like, okay, so why is membership and registrations decreasing? Why is that happening? And you say, well, I mean, there are many reasons why that could be happening. Let's say why we have decreased participation. And then you say, well, it's because we have fewer people buying horses. We have fewer people going to horse shows. We have fewer people participating in our sport. We have fewer people breeding horses. Why is that? Well, there's less demand for horses. The market has shrunk. Why is that? You can say, well, it's because it's gotten so expensive. Well, but look at there's 70,000 youth members at AQHA, and they're growing every year. So I don't think that's necessarily the reason. I think if you keep drilling down on this, where you get to is, and I think this has been true for decades, the Arabian horse community industry, however you want to refer to us as, does not have a singular North Star. We do not have a singular theme image. We have the halter community, we have the main ring community, we have the sport horse community, we have the endurance community, long distance, we have competing interests, we have different ideas about what the Arabian horse should be. So having that versatility is both an asset and a liability. Mm-hmm. What we need on top of all of that versatility is a singular North Star. The American quarter horse is a Western horse. It chases cows. It's affectionately referred to as a cow horse.
Yeah.
It was bred to be a cow horse. It has a purpose. It has an identity. I walked into the Apple store the other day to pick up something, and I noticed a gentleman sitting at the Genius bar with his laptop flipped up, and smashed on the back of his laptop was AQHA. And he was sitting in there with he identifies, he's proud to be a member of AQHA. What it stands for, the image of what it is, the horse, the caricature, everything about it, right?
It's an identity. Absolutely.
So we need that identity, and we need to make it needs to be attractive. We need to bring people into our community, and we need to discover what that is, because it's very unique, and it's different than the thoroughbred. It's different than the sport horse. When I say sport horse, I mean the warm bloods, the hunter jumper community. It's different than the quarter horse. It's different than the Morgan horse. What is it? And we need to discover that. And for us as a board to come out and say, boom, and we're going to flip a switch and we know what that answer is, it's just not that simple. If we can discover what that is, and that's a breakthrough kind of discovery that we can unify our breed around and go forward in the 21st century in a very new way, while preserving our diversity, but uniting that diversity under what I would call a singular North Star. To me, I think that is potentially, I'm putting it out there as a potential North Star that we need to determine what that is. And if we can solve that, I think it's huge. It's brand identity. It's a lot of things. The other things is our horse shows, it's one of our strategic pillars that we did publish, and we published it again on Friday. We published it at the beginning of the year. We have 5 strategic pillars: unite, revamp, market, grow, innovate. And we describe what we mean by that. Innovate was transform our Arabian horse shows into events, right, that are fun and rewarding for both spectator and participant alike.
Absolutely.
They are not that today.
No, they're participant driven. Okay. Absolutely.
Right. And so, there are things like that, but anyway, I'll stop on that. But I think it's very exciting, because I'm here to say there's great demand for horses and horse sports. We have a great product. So that's good news. That's good news. So we can figure this out.
We
So
can.
that's where we are. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that Ralph, that's
it's a puzzle.
fantastic. That is good. That is good news. That's good news to know because certainly the Arabian horse worldwide has been losing that competition to it's not a
Yeah,
word that I love to use. And I like to think that everybody that owns a horse is a win for every breed, really. In the end, it's a win for the
yeah,
equine industry. But the fact that, that America's horse concept of the quarter horse it's a good tagline. It's worked.
hmm
It's something people can
hmm
identify with. And we have a breed that is incredibly versatile, which has been a great strength. It brings in such a diversity of owners and interests and skill level and professional
yeah.
talent into our industry, unlike any other. But you're right. I would agree with you that that's a pressing issue to try to find out what it is that unites us all. It's going to take smart
And
people
we have
in
an
the room.
international
Yeah,
horse. We have an
we do.
international horse.
The
So
most
when we
international.
think
We
about
can
that
never
North
forget that.
Star,
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
that's,
Yeah.
we have an international market. So we need to think in those terms. Like that's one of the things that distinguishes our. Now there is an international market for quarter horses too. You'd
For
be
sure.
surprised at
Yeah.
how many they export and how many quarter horses are being bred around the world now. But um, that being said, the uh, the Arabian horse is a more of an international horse,
It is.
and that is another asset for us to capitalize on. And so whatever that North Star ends up being, that needs that fact needs to help inform that identity and that North Star, in my opinion.
Well said.
Huge asset.
So speaking of all the smart people in the room now, right? So this newly reconstructed board, it's comprised of several extremely successful and well-credentialed professionals. Without question, the highest number of professionals on any board in the last several decades and certainly in the new millennium. So while this is a very welcome change for sure to corporate leadership, which we desperately need, how would you say the board is staying connected, Ralph, with every level and staying relevant with every level of AHA membership from the grassroots on up? Speak to that grassroots concept because I think that all those corporate leaders started at that level at some point in their life. Nobody was born into the role as a board member of a high level corporation.
So I don't know. Everyone on our board, myself included, started in the grassroots, either themselves, in my case, or with their children, bar none. None of us like just walked into the breed and started showing at the national level and um, compete. So, so that's the first point. Like we all came through the grassroots, um, and so that's one thing. I think the really second important point to make about this, and this is something that's talked about very, very often. It's very important to me, and that is that you cannot have a vibrant and healthy and successful whatever it's called upper end of the breed without a larger, healthy, successful, vibrant, growing grassroots.
Mhm.
They cannot be held. Our breed organization, our community cannot be healthy unless both of those are like two ends of a barbell, and but they both have to be healthy, thriving, and growing. If one is not, the other will be affected, and vice versa. It is crucially important that we build a way for people to come into our breed. And that's one of the things that AQHA has done extraordinarily well. They have 100, 200, $300,000 horses being sold in AQHA all the time.
Mhm.
A lot, more than you realize, quite frequently. Very expensive horses. And yet they have this very, very vibrant, uh, massive, really growing funnel of grassroots where people are coming in and they're customer friendly. I know this from personal interaction with people in their breeds. Their horse shows are easy to enter, easy to go to. They're fun. They're family driven. They're competitive. Um, I mean, that so like, yeah. So those are two really important things to understand. And I will tell you that this board understands that. And I think many people that I'm seeing in social media and other places commenting seem to think that that's not the case, that this is a board that's just focused on the upper end. And uh, that would be suicidal to the upper end. I mean, it will continue to shrink without without a healthy, vibrant grassroots. So it's absolutely critical. This the the board understands that. Our CEO Taryl O'Shea understands that. She came up through the grassroots. We all have come up through the grassroots, and so yeah, it's absolutely critical. It's
I can
critical.
I can assure you, Grand Prairie, Alberta is definitely the grassroots for sure. It's like frozen grassroots. But so
Yeah, yeah,
just to stick on that point just for just a little bit longer, Ralph.
yeah,
It surprises me, I think, that there's this pushback on this idea that there's an upper end. The upper end's being catered to at the to the detriment of everybody else. When successful breed organizations around the world thrive with good leadership and capable leadership. And now finally in a position for after many decades of trying to do this the other way around, of potentially pulling this breed forward, and not only pulling forward the breed forward just within North America, but I think we underestimate the leadership role that AHA can have in helping to provide some global leadership for this breed,
yeah.
right? And some
Well,
relevance again.
let me comment on that. I mean, 5 years of revenue declines. It's actually more than 5 years. Is membership and registration have been declining for 35 years.
Mhm.
That is what's called a turnaround in the corporate world. That is a turnaround. And one of the things that I would really like for everyone to hear today is that successful people, however you define it, but the people that are on this board have had to, in order to be successful, have had to overcome amazing odds and obstacles and defeats, and we don't like to say this word, failures.
Yeah,
I don't like
I,
to talk about
I
my
feel the same.
failures.
Yeah.
I've had some terrible business failures, I can tell you, and today you can see where we are. Our business is thriving. We're very successful, but I will tell you that to get to that place, there have been many mountains that have had to have been climbed, and so that's called experience. Some people call it tuition. Some people call it, but that's what this board is bringing to AHA.
Mhm.
You want successful people on your board, successful people, meaning people that have overcome and have gotten to the top of the mountain, because in order to scale that mountain, they've had to go through a tremendous amount of trial and experience and obstacle overcoming and all these things. And that collective wisdom is what now sits at the board level for one purpose, to help an organization that has been in decline for a long time. And turnarounds are very hard. Turnarounds are, many of them don't turn. And so one of the things that determines whether or not turnarounds turn, because you have a limited time frame, we call it runway. So we're burning cash right now. We have a cash reserve. Cash reserve runs out, music stops.
Mhm.
That's where we are. We probably have 3 years, 4 years max, if we don't change anything on the track that we're going. Those are the facts. So so you have runway. So you've got to know what to do, and you've got to know the sequence and the order and what to do it in, because you don't have 10 years, you've got 3. If you run out of time, you won't make it. Your
Yeah.
plane will your plane is going down. It's going to hit the ground.
Mhm.
Can you pull it out? That's the question. Can you pull the nose up? Well, you've got a time frame to do that in. In a turnaround, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 3 years, sometimes it's 2 months. It just depends on your situation. We have 3 to 4 years, in my opinion, looking at the numbers. If we can turn this. Okay, so we've got to get busy. So You want experienced people that know what to do. Here are the 6 things we need to do. And then here's the sequencing is very important. You
Mhm.
can be doing the right things, but if you're doing them in the wrong order, you can't get the momentum to reverse. You get momentum. Momentum comes when you do the right things in the right order because one thing naturally leads to the next, naturally leads to the next, naturally leads to the next, naturally, and the flywheel starts to spin and the momentum starts to build. That's how it's done. And so that's what I'm trying to communicate to everybody, the importance of sequencing. Rear view mirror first, then we can see forward. So we're doing the things in the right order, in the right steps, and it takes time. And I think we can turn this in the next 3 to 4 years.
So with this in mind, and I think this is important, alluding to that earlier question or the questions that have been posed, what has the board been up to? Doesn't seem like anything's been happening since the convention. You very wisely pointed out the fact that Taryl's only been in the position since the 12th, and that was ahead of schedule of
Mhm.
putting a CEO in charge, which is essentially the person charged with running that company long term, right? All those board members are transitional at best, transitory, right? Over time.
Mhm.
Certainly they have, and that's the way they're designed to be. So,
Yeah.
with that in mind, what's it without asking you to give away any trade secrets of what is the realistic plan of when you hope to see some results, in terms of halting this decline? Like when will you consider that a success? That, not because right now it really is it's about finding a baseline. Where's the bottom? Where is
Yeah.
this? Not just the financial bottom.
Well,
The finances, I think you understand, but the bottom in terms of when do we stop bleeding members, horses, participation, and when will we consider it a success when we hit that target and then start to increase? And I know nobody can project
so,
that. You don't have a crystal ball, but just
so
just
let me,
yeah,
well, but let me tell you, if you look at the data that we sent out on Friday
yeah.
and the previous month, so that would have been in April, and the previous month was March. So we've been sending out those reports. So there's a key indicator box in there. There's one called transfers. And for the first trailing 12-month period in years, half Arabian transfers were actually up year over year in March of 2026, this prior March. Half Arabian, not purebreds, half Arabian transfers were higher than they were the previous year for the same period. That's a green shoot.
Hmm.
Okay. I think that's because there is a sense of optimism that we are going to, you see energy, you see optimism, you see it at shows like Region 12, you see it at Scottsdale, you see spending money, they're buying horses. We had the vision sale at Region 12 this year. It was well attended. It was a good result. You're starting to see, okay, so it's just like the economy. The economy is driven in large part by psychology. Do people think they're going to have more money tomorrow than they have today? Do people think they're going to have money tomorrow versus today? Do they think they're going to be better off in 6 months than they are today? If they feel that way, they will spend more money. It's psychology. So the horse business works a lot the same way. If we feel like things are going to get better, well, that's part of that flywheel I was just describing. It starts to turn. You start to get a little bit of momentum. So you asked the question, when do we think we're going to see? Well, the first thing we have to do is stop the burn. When do we think we can do that? I think we can do it within a year to 18 months. I
Right.
think we can stop the burn. Okay, in a year to 18 months. Stop the burn. That's the step. That's the first step. And then what that does is that buys us time and extends our runway because we're no longer burning cash reserves. So extends our runway. And so that gives us the ability to begin to think strategically. We have a principle in our business that we talk about. We have to earn the right to grow, meaning you have to cover down first before you can focus on the fun stuff and the
Hmm.
talk about growth. Now we can talk about growth again. If vision casting without the ability to execute on a plan is hallucination. Vision without execution is hallucination because I can have a great vision, but if I can't execute it, then like 9 out of 10 companies I referenced earlier, then I can't.
Yeah.
You see, so
Just a
we're
bite.
kind of like taking our medicine. We're doing the hard, unfun, difficult work first to earn the right to cast a vision that we can execute against. That's what we're doing as a board. And I hope that we can get that message out.
Thank you, Ralph. And that was a good explanation. And I apologize for putting you
Yeah.
on the spot because nobody really knows what
Yeah,
that is.
no.
But that is it's good to identify those, as you said, those little indicators, those green shoots of promise to say, yeah, there are some things that are looking up, and it is going to be little incremental steps like that until it starts to really gain some momentum.
But I will go one step further, and I think this is really important to talk about because we're doing it at our farm, Whistlejacket. But we have 18 people, 18 members. We have an equestrian club and a riding academy. We have 18 new members in the last year, none of which come from the Arabian horse community. And how did we do that? So this is, I think, very important to what you were talking about a minute ago. So we don't try to sell our horses to the general public. We sell horsemanship. There's a lot of interest in horsemanship and learning how to ride. And once we get them into the farm, we earn the right to introduce them to our horses. And they love our horses. They have no reason to go look elsewhere for another kind of horse. They love our horses. And so horsemanship is a universal theme that's unifying. Horsemanship is what spans all the different factions of our community, whether it's halter, sport horse, main ring, working Western. It's all about horsemanship. That's what, so we have this horse that we all love, but what really binds us is this concept of horsemanship. And so it's a great way to bring new people in. And what we want to do at Whistlejacket is we want to create a program that we can rinse, lather, repeat, we call it, replicate, like a franchise model, and take it up to AHA, give it away, take it to AHA, and then use the resources of AHA to push it down to our farms across the country. Think about this, if we had 50 farms bringing in 18 to 20 new people, new families a year into our breed, 18 to 20 across times 50, doing that every year, where would we be in 5 years?
Yeah.
Our community would grow. It would grow. Absolutely would grow. That's called grassroots. And we're not just talking about it, we're doing it, but we're doing it with a desire and a plan to share it and share that so that we can have a recipe. This is how you staff it. This is how you market it. This is how you bill it. This is your program. This is your curriculum. This is everything in a box. And AHA can come to your farm, 3 staff members, and they can show you how to do it. And they can show you they can be profitable and it'll make money for you. And this is how many horses you need. This is what they need to look like. And all right, we're going to do that. It's going to take us another year. I think in another year, we'll be ready to roll it out.
Yeah, and that's such a fundamentally powerful thing to do. Horses have been a part. I mean, they're more responsible for our success as a species than any other animal on the planet, and have been doing so for thousands of years. And this idea of introducing people who have just any inkling of interest in a horse to just what you're talking about, basic horsemanship, whether it's handling, whether it's basic riding level or basic riding skills, whatever it is, without ownership, without participating at a show, just interacting with horses. It's good for people, and it's a great way to get, and this breed does it better than any other. So we've already got a built-in win. And just to take that idea and get it out to more people, Ralph, is really brilliant. I mean,
so one of our strategic pillars. No, listen to this. One of our strategic pillars is revamp, refresh how the Arabian breed is perceived, highlighting their emotional intelligence, beauty, spirit, and rich history. So, if we use horsemanship in a more general way to earn the right to introduce people to this breed of horse that has such a high emotional intelligence, beauty, spirit, and history, I mean, it will work. And I'm very committed to it. I'm working with we're in the early stages of collaborating with the local level committee, right? So, but this is like really, you asked the question, this is one of the potential ways that we're developing that we can do this, because it's about growth.
Mhm.
Growth means more people coming into our breed, owning, leasing. That's the other thing we're doing, is we've got a leasing program that's set up so that people, so we've lowered the price point. Cost is a issue for many people. So if you can lower the cost for them to come in, so they can come in and not own anything or lease anything, they can come in and lease, or they can do a half lease, they can do a quarter lease, and they can have, I feel like these kids feel like they own that horse if they've got a half lease. They feel like they own that horse. That's their horse.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're taking that horse to shows. And then maybe one day shows, they may be A shows. This is how we grow our A shows again. This is how we make our A shows more relevant. And the local level committee is now doing the academy classes, which is gonna come right in together with this concept, right? So anyway, I'm very excited about this, and it's just one spoke in the wheel,
Yeah.
but you can see like how you talk about vision. Vision comes together, it's discovered, and we're discovering by looking at other breeds, looking at society, looking at what problem we're trying to solve, looking at what we offer, and how can we present that in a way that's attractive to more people. So that's it's not flipping a switch. And I know everyone's impatient and they want an answer tomorrow, but we're going to extend the runway first. And while we're extending the runway, we're going deep on all these things to really come up with a vision that we can ultimately be equipped to execute against in a way that we can move the needle.
Yeah. And that's it's always a matter of exposure, isn't it, Ralph, in the end? But
Yeah.
I think what that program does, and potentially what we can all do, is create positive exposure. It's one thing to be exposed, but
Yeah.
that positive exposure is what resonates with people long term. Listen, I want to double back to something you alluded to earlier about this idea that, like the economy, this positive
Mhm.
mindset that people are in. If they think, if they got a little hope and they've got a little optimism and they think, oh, I'm going to spend a little more money on my horses and participate with my horses, um, the things look up for the breed like they do for an economy or a financial situation. So I want to talk about our role as people active on social media. How can we harness the power of social media? We know that it can do we know what its negative impact can be for sure. And I think we vastly
Mhm.
underestimate what its positive impact can be. How can we harness that? How can we implore our members, current members and owners and enthusiasts of Arabian horses, to use that power of social media to create a better influence, to create greater impact for our breed, for the HA, for just equine ownership at large? We spend a lot of time tearing other things down when we could really use that it's just as effective for building things up.
That's a great question. What I challenge myself to, I don't do it very well all the time, but I try, is like, ask myself a question when I'm sitting in a meeting. We meet at the board every week and everybody's got an opinion, right? We have a lot of strong personalities on this board. So here's the question. It's a two-part question. Does it need to be said? And do I need to say it?
Amen.
Okay. And it's like, okay, so that's one way to think about it. The other way to think about it is to challenge everyone to just improve the quality of civil discourse. So is what I would say is like, debate is very important.
Mhm.
It's very important. I mean, I have 25 years of experience serving on nonprofit boards. I have been on three nonprofit boards. And this is I'm being on two, I guess. This is my third. On one, I was there for 15 years and I led a turnaround in 2005, and it's informed my thinking tremendously. Um, Both of them went through a turnaround. The second one, as well. But the idea is like, it's like stretching a rubber band. If you put a rubber band here, and a board or any group of people working together has to have the ability to engage in constructive conflict. They have to care more about the mission than about their personal point of view or their they have to care more about the mission than being right and or their ego. And if people are there to fight for the mission, then they can speak freely and not be fearful that they're going to offend one another or that someone's going to take it the wrong way, because everybody's there to fight for the mission and everybody respects that. Okay, so if everybody on social media would think about it that way, I'm here to fight for the mission. I'm not here to stick my finger in somebody's eye. I'm here to fight for the mission. And I'm here to get to the right answer. And I don't have to be right. If someone has a better solution or has information that I'm not privy to, they need to share that information. And I can change my view if that information changes. So I think that social media can be very positive, very impactful to creating a debate. But when people respond with their opinions that have no basis in fact, like, I'll give you an example. This board's not doing anything. I hope if I've proven anything on this call, this board is doing a lot. So if someone's going to say something like that, like, where is your evidence to say that this board isn't doing anything? Or this board doesn't have a strategy. This board has no vision. Well, I would argue that those are not true statements. Where is your factual evidence for that? And does that need to be said? And do you need to say it?
Yeah. How is that helpful?
Is it constructive? And so because we're just trying to help. I mean, like, we're unpaid volunteers working really hard because we care about this breed, we care about the people in it, we care about our professional horsemen and horsewomen. I will tell you that I care deeply about them. We need young people to come into our breed and pursue that as a career. I mean, where are we going to be without young professional horsemen and horsewomen? I mean, so we're fighting for them. That's what we're doing. And what we need is constructive debate in the arena of social media. We don't need all of this vitriol. And I will tell you one thing: people coming into our breed are very turned off by it.
Absolutely.
And they're turned away by it.
Absolutely.
Why do they want to come into this community that just wants to slug each other in the head? Like, that's not attractive. You talk about creating an attractive identity for your breed. When people get on social media and they see the vitriol, that's not helpful. So, I would encourage people to think about, like, does it need to be said, and do I need to say it? And do I have a factual basis for my opinion? Opinions are great, but I tell you, in our business, you are not entitled to express an opinion in our business unless you've been to the Gemba. The Gemba is where the work gets done. That's Japanese. Okay. And the reason for that is the best ideas come from the people doing the work. They don't come from the ivory tower. They don't come from the conference room or the boardroom. They come from the people doing the work. And who are the people doing the work in our breed? Well, there are horsemen, our horsewomen, our breeders. There are people running our farms, our barns, our people in the trenches at the horse shows. There are the people doing the work. And so one of the things that, Lisa Blackstone has engaged in is in a listening campaign. She's doing a listening campaign, and we're all listening to her listening campaign at the board. Like, what are the people that are doing the work? What are the people of the Gemba saying? Like, we don't want to sit in the ivory tower and, like, act like we're Moses on the mountaintop coming down with a proclamation. It's like, we need to listen to the people doing the work. And so, that's what I would say about it.
So on that note, Ralph, and thank you for saying that. I have an opinion on opinions, for sure, that we all have the right to have one. We don't have the right to express it. Once you express it, you open yourself up to all sorts of judgment and such. But by all means, have one. On that note, about the idea of this idea of people expressing their opinions on social media, you and I had a conversation before this call started about, what can AHA do? What people ask that question all the time, like, what can AHA really do to turn this around? And I turn it back and say that same challenge is what can we all do? We are all AHA. AHA is only comprised, it's a dead organization without the members that comprise it. So what's your
Yeah,
response to not only what can AHA do, but what can we all do as members of AHA? Because we are AHA. We every time
yeah.
anybody asks that question, they're really pointing the finger back at themselves and to every other member that they know and say, what can we do to help turn this around, to support this board, to support Taryl, to make a difference for this breed long term, to say we did something when the call was made. How do we help this breed be better today, tomorrow, and build on what the strength that we have right now and the momentum?
A house divided cannot stand, period.
Mm.
So the
Thank
theme
you.
of last year's convention was unite. That was the theme that Lisa Blackstone articulated so well, was we must unite our breed. A house divided cannot stand, it will not stand. And if you think about history, you think about World War II. There was a lot of disagreement and division around whether we should enter that war. And talk about constructive conflict. There was a lot going on around that topic, right? Whether it be in Washington, D.C., or whether it be on Main Street. Everybody had a view, everybody had an opinion, right? Until we got bombed at Pearl Harbor. That united our country. And when we became united, we defeated the enemy in a way that arguably saved Western civilization. That is even really not an opinion. It's really a fact. I mean, we saved Western civilization, which is Europe and the United States. And it was that event, that Pearl Harbor, that united us. And so our breed community, if we're serious about turning this around, we've got to get united. It's absolutely, I mean, it's imperative. I mean, so as a board, we're going to do our best to communicate. We're going to put a monthly report out. We're going to do listening campaigns. So the next things we're going to do is we're going to try to get SM texting technology. We don't have it today, but we want to be able to text everybody some people are on Facebook, not everybody is. Some people read their emails, some people don't. Some people use text, right? And then some people can go to the website. So we're going to have 4 or 5 different ways where you can get the same information. We've got 2 ways now. We're going to increase that to 4 or 5. So we're going to do our part to I don't think we can over communicate. Okay. The second part of this question, I think I'll give you a great example, and I've used this before, and there's 2 things that I would say. One is Coke doesn't sell itself. Everybody knows what Coke is. Coca-Cola. Everybody knows. At the convention last year, I asked everybody, how much did Coca-Cola spend on marketing last year? Nobody knew the answer. Over $4 billion. Billion with a B. $1 billion. Now you have to ask yourself, why does Coke spend $4 billion on marketing if everybody already knows about Coke? Well, it's because they sell more Coke.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about the Arabian horse. Most people don't know anything about the Arabian horse. Some people don't think once about the Arabian. They don't know anything about the Arabian horse that even exists in many cases. And yet we're really bad at marketing. We really don't know how to market. So one of the things that AHA can learn how to do and do really, really well, and we're going to make sure it's one of our strategic pillars that we have published and that we published again on Friday. Market, provide leadership in the marketing of Arabian horses. That is one of our pillars. Okay. So what I say is there's so much that can be done there to educating and informing the broader world about our horses and about how they come involved in our horses that we're not doing, that we haven't done in 40 years. That's a whole new paradigm that we can explore. Okay. So that's it. And then I would give you one last example and we can end on this, but it's the PGA. So, yes, Tiger Woods has been important to golf and there have been other stars, but before Tiger Woods, golf was declining rapidly.
Mhm.
It was losing market share in the world of sports. There was no way a golf channel, 25 years ago would ever have worked because there wasn't enough viewership. Well, what did they do? Well, they did many things, but the PGA created the first tee program, which is a program in schools. And they got kids involved in golf, thousands, millions of kids involved in golf. And what did they do? Their theme was why why does learning golf, how can learning golf help you in uh, other areas of your life? How are those skills transferable to your professional life? How does, learning grit, learning game strategy, learning, to show up every day and practice and get better and work your score down? And how does that benefit, learning patience, learning the discipline that it takes to become a good golfer takes tremendous discipline. And so think about horsemanship. Well, you have to learn to work with the horse. You have to learn responsibility as a youngster. You have to learn, I mean, the amount of transferable skills that horsemanship provides our youth is incredible. Well, you could build a whole marketing campaign around that, couldn't you? Well, so the PGA doesn't make golfers, horse trainers. PGA doesn't build golf courses or run them for the most part. They may have a couple, but for the most part, golf courses and golf clubs are privately owned
Yeah.
outside of the PGA. Okay. Arabian Horse Association doesn't own and operate horse farms. The PGA hosts golf tournaments. Arabian Horse Association hosts horse shows. PGA makes rules. Arabian Horse Association makes rules. PGA markets golf to the broader world. The Arabian Horse Association should market the Arabian horse to the broader world. So you asked the question, what can the Arabian Horse Association do? It can do a lot to facilitate programming and demand for the Arabian horse for the benefit of our community. And that's what I believe it can do a lot better than it's done in the past. And if you combine that with the fact that there's evidence through other breed participation that there's massive demand for horses and horse sports and that we're losing market share, that's what AHA can do. And that's what we plan to do in a broad sense.
Ralph, thank you immensely for taking the time
Thank you, Scott.
to
Yeah.
speak to us about what is happening, what the plan for the future is, and just keeping us informed of what's going on with HA. We appreciate your time and your leadership as we do
Thank
all
you.
of the new board and
Yeah.
Taryl, especially. It's great to have her on board, and we look forward to checking in regularly to see how things are going and reminding people to do their bit as well locally because we are all
Yeah.
HA and we can all make the HA succeed with everything that we do. So thank you again, Ralph. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, Scott. It's been great. And we look forward to what's ahead. Yep.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Until
Take
next
care.
time.